Just like their opponents today, England do, Ireland have another massive game next weekend. England host France, but Ireland have to travel to Murrayfield in a very tricky looking fixture. So there's no time just to bask in the glory of a brilliant second half performance and a good win against England, getting the full 5 points in Dublin. They've got to start thinking straight away about next weekend and preparing for Scotland. And with that in mind, here are some ratings of the Ireland team, the 23-man squad from today, and some thoughts at the end about what, if any, changes they should make for that game against Scotland. I would love to know your thoughts, so do get stuck in the comments down below. Starting with Andrew Porter. Again, Andrew Porter playing almost the whole game. This guy has got some engine, and he's kind of all court. He can carry. He's got good hands, so he's quite often in that first receiver position, giving the little tips or the little I was going to call it the punch because that's what the rugby team that I coach call it, but the little pass out the back, and then he's set piece time solid as well. What a player! 7 out of 10 for Ronan Kelleher, who was really good. Line out was much better, much better. Almost scored that try, but it was disallowed because of the dark arts coming from Tyg Byrne. But yeah, can't ask a lot more of Ronan Kelleher. Finlay Bealham, gave him a solid 6. I thought he got bested by Genge at scrum time, but Bealham, just like Ireland, managed to stay on the right side of the referee, and I guess that's to Bealham's credit. I gave a 6, or James Ryan there is giving himself his own grade. Line out was really solid, not quite as busy maybe as we've seen him before. And again, just to put some context on this, 6 is not a criticism. 6 is like solid performance, what you'd expect. 7 is like, yeah, above normal or a real positive performance. 8 is like, well, this was a special performance. 9, that's the kind of performance you get very rarely. And 10, I don't think I've ever given out a 10, to be honest. 9.5 might be the highest rating I've given out on one of these. So James Ryan was perfectly solid at 6. I thought Tyg Byrne, the guy looks exhausted after 5 minutes, then keeps going for the following 75 minutes, scored a try, key turnovers. Yeah, he almost got away with it when Ronan Kelleher scored, but I kind of respect the fact he tries stuff like that, and he's smart enough to know what a good penalty to give away might be, because had that not been spotted, try time. He's a hell of a rugby player. Ryan Baird, a 6 out of 10. Glimpses of what he can do. There was a few times he was in the outside channels carrying with the ball. I think he was part of the reason why Ireland's line-out was better, because he's a genuine line-out option, and that seemed to tidy it up a little bit. So yeah, I hope he gets more game time. Josh van der Fleer is a machine, and his battle with Twindaloo, the two Curries, was massive. And the physicality off the charts. This guy is playing out of his skin this season. Caelan Doris, by his very high standards, it was just a good game, not a great game from Caelan Doris. But to give him his dues, he led Ireland very well. And the fact that Ireland got the rub of the green, the benefit of the 50-50s tended to fall Ireland's way, I put that down to good captaincy a little bit. And that is part of the game. Jameson Gibson Park was outstanding, sniping, free running, and then just putting other people into space. He looked back to his best. Wasn't quite there in November, but he looked very much back to his best. And yeah, he was outstanding. He was officially given the Man of the Match award. As I said on my previous video, looking at England's player ratings, I thought Tom Curry just shaded Jameson Gibson Parker was the best player on the pitch, but he was only fractionally behind. Sam Prendergast, mixed game, did some really nice things. And when he looks good, he looked really good. But I thought his opening 20 minutes was really poor. The kicking game, it was kicking too long, aimlessly, and allowing England to run it back with interest and get field position. So it was a tough start, but the fact he grew into the game shows that he's got a little bit of mental fortitude, and he's got lots and lots of time ahead of him in that green shirt for Ireland. James Lowe, I mean, outstanding. Just as a kind of character on the field, he's like that pantomime villain. Easy for opposition fans to dislike. Kind of a little bit like, Owen Farrell, Dan Bigger. Got that, Johnny Sexton even. Bit of that about him. He's got a bit of dog about him. But if he was a player for my team, I would absolutely love him, because he just comes up with big moments, big plays when it really matters, as he did in this game. He was very, very influential. Gary Ringrose, I've got the wrong way around. Gary Ringrose, who was 13, not 12, but anyway. 7. He went out to the wing at one point, did lots of nice things, solid defensively, and the more the game went on, the more influence the two of those centre partners had. Bundyaki looked a bit slow and looked like he was being done a bit by Ollie Lawrence and Henry Slade in that first half, but again, he grew into the game. Big try, power, and he got stronger and stronger as the game went on, and I thought had a really good game. As did Mac Hansen, menace coming off his wing, and that using him in that second receiver position, just kind of making things happen. So elusive, so difficult to bring down, and just a really good rugby brain. And exactly the same can be said of Hugo Keenan, who I also give a really solid 7 out of 10. Dependable as ever, good under the high ball, which England really put Ireland under pressure there, and he was really good. So I think so far I've given a few 8s, 8.5, a few 6s, so mostly kind of 7 out of 10. When you look at Ireland's bench, Dan Sheehan, the guy is just, what was one of the comments? I thought the word used earlier in one of the comments on the video was perfect. Dan Sheehan is superhuman. That just about sums it up. He's been out for 7 months and had one game back for Leinster, and he comes onto the pitch and has that level of impact in a top level Six Nations test match. Massive. I'm not going to give Cian Healy a score because Andrew Porter played basically the whole game. Thomas Clarkson, really good, 6.5, solid. Yeah, can't complain. Same with Ian Henderson. Good without being exceptional. Jack Conan, I thought, was exceptional. His impact off the bench is massive. Another player who's been out there in the wilderness a little bit, had to deal with some injuries, and that's put him down the pecking order, but he got an opportunity, and man alive did he take it. And he's putting himself in contention, no question. Conor Murray, again, solid. And another player that was really, really good off the bench, Jack Crowley. I thought he was excellent. The pick of the 10s on the pitch reflected in his score, and even in the short period of time relatively that he was on the pitch, about 20, 22 minutes, class, absolute class. And as was Robbie Henshaw, coming on for that blood replacement early in the game and then coming on later on, and was, I mean, he's just a brilliant player. What a guy to have on the bench. So much talent. Their bench was massive. 1, 2, 3 8s on the bench. Well, 2 8s and an 8.5 on the bench tells you something, particularly when you compare it to the scores that I gave the England bench. As for the team for next week, they play Scotland at Murrayfield. Anything you would change, let me know in the comments. I think the positions which would be up for debate for a change, hooker, not because Ronan Kelleher did anything wrong, but because Dan Sheehan is superhuman. 6, because, well, Ryan Baird was fine there today, but no one has kind of nailed down that 6 jersey. When Joe McCarthy is back, you wonder if Tyg Byrne will be moved back to the 6 shirt. I think what Ireland really need is someone to take that shirt and make it theirs, someone that isn't Tyg Byrne. And I think that will help them in an 80-minute performance. Jack Conan was brilliant off the bench, has to be said. Sam Prendergast, his shirt is going to come under scrutiny because they've got 2 really good 10s. And I'd also just put Cian Healy on the bench there. The fact that he only played a couple of minutes, do you have confidence in him playing? And if not, would you not rather give some game time to someone that you're going to have to play in games come the Rugby World Cup? What happens if Andrew Porter gets an injury? Do you only want to do you want to have no one with really any game time in it? So those would be the ones I would consider. The changes I think I would make, I'd make very few. I haven't changed Dan Sheehan. Of course, Dan Sheehan, I would start him. Sorry, Ronan Kelleher. That should be the other way around. I would start Dan Sheehan, obviously. The guy's superhuman. Proved that he's got it. And I would keep the rest of the pack the same. I thought the line-out worked really well. I thought there were glimpses of what Ryan Baird can do. And I think Jack Conan, in his role from the bench, was massive. And I think that kind of energy that you can have with someone just coming on with the sort of power that he's got, just a wrecking ball for half an hour, I think worked brilliantly. So I would keep that the same. I would continue with Sam Prendergast. I think the noises are going to be there for Jack Crowley to start, and I understand it. But here's the way I would put it. Firstly, what a fortunate position Ireland are in when they've got 2 really good options. 3 if you count Kieran Frawley. But secondly, who would you rather have on the pitch at the end of a match? Who would you rather be on the pitch with 78 minutes on the clock and Ireland have to score a penalty, drop goal, or a try. Who would you rather have on the pitch out of the two of them? I think I'd rather have Jack Crowley there. So oddly, I'm actually sort of giving Jack Crowley the props by saying I want him there. I think both of them are great and they're going to be involved in the matchday squad. But with that being the case, let Sam Prendergast have a crack, and you've got Jack Crowley can come on. If Sam Prendergast has a shocker, Crowley can come on after 20 minutes, 30 minutes, no problem. But crucially, in the second half of games, as Ireland showed today, having him on the pitch, particularly that Munster connection as well, the two of them who know each other very well, I think that might be the way to go. What I would do, though, on the bench, if you're not going to play Cian Healy, pick Jack Boyle, or frankly anyone. Get them some game time. Cian Healy is and always will be a legend. And if there's an injury to Andrew Porter, maybe you jump straight up and put Cian Healy into the starting lineup. But in these games, if you're not going to play him, why pick him? Surely these minutes are massively valuable for someone like Jack Boyle, who's actually been doing pretty well this season. There's my thoughts. I'd love to know yours. That's what the comments are for. I'll be down there with you. I'll see you on the next one.